Okay, pay attention folks, before we dive into our mission to take down yhwach, we first need to go through the mandatory Soul Society PR course about how to conduct yourself in the workplace. Now, first of all, no one bring up Hitsugaya's height. Second of all, we want to make sure that everyone's keeping their hands to themselves. We don't want anyone getting done for harassment or anything like that. Okay, so Bleach is back, and there's a lot to unpack from this first episode of Cour 4, but I can't really talk about this episode without first just bringing up the elephant in the room, Urahara and Yoriichi. I don't know what the animators were on, bro. What substances, what kind of, I don't know, they need to get some girlfriends or something. That's all I really have to say about this. They need to go outside, touch some grass. Maybe it's a Kubo problem, I don't know, but the way they adapted this, hey, look, I'm not complaining, man, alright? It's just, you know, look, Yoriichi, Urahara, they've been together for a long time. Urahara, beautiful individual, alright? Both beautiful people. They definitely have, you know, had some intimate moments, but that's just harassment, mate. You know what? Don't even worry. More important note, what is it with these angles? What are we doing with these angles? It's like the first half of the episode is aura farming. It's peak. It's Jugram versus Uryu. He's explaining the plan. Uryu's realizing that he doesn't have a place in the Quincy future, but he doesn't care because he was actually pretending to be on their side, and now he's like trying to beat Jugram with the Almighty, and it's peak, right? And then the second half of the episode is it's just goonery. I'm not complaining, but like, look at this, dude. Bro, Urahara, what's got you looking like that? I mean, I know what's got you looking like that, but still, you guys need to relax, okay? You are facing pretty much Maharaga if he adapted to fucking James Charles or some shit, but he's dangerous, okay? He is dangerous, you need to lock in. But no, the main guy, special war threat Urahara, he's not paying any attention at all, bro. He doesn't care. This guy is not serious. I refuse to believe Urahara is a real person. He's sitting down at the back with his little notebook, smiling to himself. He's got his feet up in the air. He's casually just like having a chat with the enemy, letting him know what's going on, what he should expect from Yoriichi, just sort of vibing, alright? This is why Urahara is the GOAT, okay? Because he's actually an NPC, bro. He doesn't know. He's not a real person. I refuse to believe it. I think I'll come back to this later on though. So yeah, Bleach. Cour 4, the final season of Bleach 1000 Year Blood War begins. We get a little recap in this really nice kind of visual showing us what happened before. We see yhwach and his almighty power manifesting in Jugram. And of course, that is where we left off with Uryu facing him. Now, as per previous seasons, it looks amazing. I know it's kind of a controversial opinion. I think people are quite split on it, but I think 1000 Year Blood War looks really good. I love the visual effects, I love the colors. So yeah, you're not going to hear me complaining about any of that. Although the artwork is like particularly strong in this episode, I think. There are some shots of like eyes that just look phenomenal. Like genuinely, this is some of the strongest artwork I've seen in a 1000 Year Blood War episode. And of course, artwork is great and all, but we also need to talk about the other elephant in the room, which is the 3D camera work that was utilized this episode. Dude, listen, say what you want about Shinji, never won a fight, I don't care, bro. That guy was aura farming with his visors for no reason at all, and then the camera just like fluidly moves straight on to Yoriichi. Yep, I know, we got another angle of her ass. You know, we pan through them, we go up to the castle, and then down to Hashval Jugram, who is, I don't know, but this guy's on smoke this episode. He like obviously then starts fighting Uryu and immediately just pulls up behind him with this sinister smile, and I was like, at first I was thinking, you know, this episode's called God of Thunder. I kind of wanted to go straight into the Urahara Yoriichi stuff and really give that its focus. I was like, get this bum off my screen. I don't care about this blonde moron. And then he started moving like this, and I was like, do you know what? I kind of like it, bro. I'm not gonna lie. This was never my favorite moment or fight in the manga. And I, obviously, having read it, kind of understand what he's saying. Again, they were going through the plan of we're taking down the 3 worlds, and we're basically just, I mean, listen to the first scene of the anime, bro. This might as well be a Star Wars Imperial March theme song they've played over these dudes, stormtrooper looking ass. Like, they're obviously just Nazis, right? Like, it's, they want to kill everyone else and then reign whatever's left for themselves, basically. It's not too complicated, to be honest. But yeah, he has the almighty power, and they just start going at it, while Ichigo, well, I was gonna say Ichigo and 2 others. It's honestly more like Ichigo and 4 others, because, yep, they got bigger again. But yeah, Ichigo and his mates go off, they run up, Chad fights those statue things, it's pretty cool. Ganju shows up, everything's pretty good, you know, close to the manga in this episode. But anyway, the more important part is the Uryu versus Jogram fight, which is where you really kind of get an understanding of where Uryu's like intentions kind of lie. But it doesn't end very well for him because they kind of go at it. They both have their moments, but overall Jogram's in control. The dialogue is great. It makes it easy for the viewer to understand what's going on. The way it's presented is like, I can't tell if they're fighting or flirting, and then Jogram goes and like grabs him by the throat instead of just killing him. I don't know what all that's about, bro. You guys need to get a room. Yeah, overall, Uryu gets pinned down. He does sustain some bad injuries, but that shouldn't matter. That shouldn't matter. If you remember what Uryu can do, it shouldn't matter too much. But, you know, I'm kind of teetering on spoilers there, so we're gonna move on to this big rift thing that opens up, and that is basically seen by Urahara's, I don't know, fucking whatever they are, genetically engineered, weird lab kids in the land of the living. So this is basically showing that everything's about to be taken down and destroyed and consumed, and then Yuha's gonna launch everything in his grand Quincy empire. But overall, I did really enjoy this portion of the fight. There was some really good direction. I love that scene of Jogram running up the arrows to grab Uryu. That was really sick. Overall, I think action-wise, this portion of the episode did have the best direction, and it was kind of easier to follow than some of the Yoruichi versus Askin moments, which I'll get into. But something else that I want to point out before I move on is just throughout this episode, the sound design is really on point. The music, first of all, is great, as it always is, but when Jogram scratches Uryu's glasses, and the close-up shot, it's great. But more importantly, it's the lightning and thunder effects are just, top notch in this episode, especially the massive explosions that come later on. They really make them feel powerful. They make them feel like they're hitting with this serious weight. Even though, you know, the damage to Askin doesn't matter that much because of his ability, it's still pretty funny to see him get burnt up in this. I don't know what this frame is doing. It's funny. I like it. But yeah, just the sound design was peak all throughout the episode, and I think especially those thunder effects were just really good at making it seem like these bolts should be doing more than they actually are, which kind of helps boost Askin's power up as well. Kind of makes him seem a lot more formidable, the fact that he's tanking these with his Maharage-esque immunity ability. But yeah, I'll move on to covering that portion of the episode now. It all, like I said, all stays pretty, you know, one-to-one with the manga here, but yeah, their main focus is basically just show off Yoruichi as much as possible and have Askin seem like he very much has the upper hand. But then, of course, you have Urahara lurking around, and I actually really enjoy the way he just pops into frame. Big smile, silly voice, not a care in the world. Big, higher dimensional, all-seeing Hitler is about to take over and destroy everything you've ever known. But hey, who cares? Because I have flashcards that I can wave, and I can turn my girlfriend or my situationship into a bloody cat hybrid. That's basically Urahara in this episode. I don't know, he's just goofy as hell. That's why he's the GOAT. What is this angle? Again, what is this angle? What is this frame? What is this frame? You get the point. But yeah, they kind of have their fun messing with Askin a bit. Askin doesn't really seem too bothered, but then of course Yoruichi goes into her hybrid form and just lets loose. This is where we really start to see the power that she holds like properly come out, and Askin even looks a bit worried. And as Urahara takes the time to explain to him, by the way, he just flies up there, and instead of trying to do anything, he's just like, yeah, so the problem is that we tweaked Yoruichi around a bit, so your immunity has just gone back to 0, buddy. And that's all he does. I don't know, he's just an unserious guy. But yeah, the visual effects for the lightning and that sound design is all amazing. I think my only problem here, my only slight issue, and it's not a big deal at all, it's just that for some of these action scenes, you have moments like this cut here where there is some really great, you know, close-up first-person POV action shots of them throwing hands, which I feel like you don't often get a lot of choreography like that in Bleach, and I really appreciated that. That was great, really well done. But then for the rest of it, especially the chase portions, I feel like were kind of, I don't know, sometimes it felt like they were hard to follow because everything was moving around a bit too much, but you were a little bit too zoomed into the characters to actually tell where they were going. So like Yoruichi going from building to building, running over to Askin, it's kind of hard to figure out where she is, how far she's covered, how fast she's moving, because it's kind of just this one shot that is like really zoomed in on just her, and it's always very close to the action. I do enjoy scenes where you kind of move back a bit and can see it from a wider perspective, but again, it's not a big deal. Overall, I think the visuals and the sound design and the voice acting as well, really strong voice acting from, I think, specifically Urahara in this episode. Again, he has just such a good charisma about him. All of those things kind of make up for those little inconveniences. And yeah, overall, you have like what is a pretty decent like one-to-one adaptation with a lot of charm. You really do elevate the source material by being able to hear and see Urahara, you know, behaving the way that he does, because it kind of stands in stark contrast to the situation they're in, which is obviously incredibly volatile and very dangerous. Yeah, the episode then ends with Urahara realizing he kind of messed up by not taking this too seriously, realizing Yoruichi didn't finish him off, and then boom! Askin, the James Charles Maharaga, whatever you want to call him, pops domain expansion. All of the poison he can muster and surrounds Urahara. This is where the lighting then goes all green and purple. And again, Thousand Year Blood War, I love it for its very bold color scheme. It changes that shit up so quickly, and I think that's what makes this series so visually striking. I really enjoy it. Obviously, if you've read the manga, you know what's gonna happen next, but yeah, Urahara's kind of realized, crap, it might be over because I didn't think we'd end up like that. And the episode ends. I really liked it. It was great. It was a very strong start. The art was just so unbelievably strong in some of those moments. Also, the opening was done by Joji, by the way, who did the ending for JJK Season 3, one of the best songs in Jujutsu Kaisen, and he did not disappoint. It was incredible. Everyone was aura farming. We got to see Aizen and potentially which is, well, I won't go into that too much, but you can see if you're ever curious about the official color scheme of that, we can probably work it out from this frame right here. Yeah, it is teasing a lot of Aizen stuff, which is really dope, but the episode obviously, ends, and then we get the ending as well, which sounded great. I don't know, I don't really have much to say on it, other than the height difference is crazy. Yeah, that's kind of just the episode, so, I don't know, like, subscribe, something like that. I'll see you in a bit.